Well, welcome to the lesson recording for week 2 for programming 2, which is Java. And for week 2, you can see it's October 28th to November 1st. And week 2 is going to be the basics unit. And the basics unit is just going to be the startup of the Java programming course, essentially. So you have the week 2 write-up. Then you have a program where it's going to print your name on the screen. Then you have a couple of quizzes, actually 3 quizzes, and then an exam. So it's really not an awful lot to do this week. Now you also want to install the Java Development Kit software, and here's an announcement right up here above that has a PowerPoint, and there's the PowerPoint to install the Java Development Kit. So you want to go through the work to do that, and the PowerPoint has the slides that show you exactly how to do it. So you need to go through and download that Java Development Kit so you can start doing some Java programming. Now in the beginning, you're going to just do programming in Notepad. So then the Java program will actually do the compiling for you later on. So that's the basics of how it's all going to work, but get that Java Development Kit downloaded and it'll be ready to go. Okay, for week 2, let's go into the write-up first. We always do that, right? So of course, as always, you know how to do all of your veterans of my classes, so you know how to do the write-up. So you just copy and paste all this in a Word document, find the answers, and then put it all in the Dropbox, right? Do not attach a file. So in section A, explain the importance of keywords. What is the purpose of comments in programs? Give sample code for a single line comment. Give sample code for a multi-line comment. So Java programming. So this unit is all about the basics and fundamentals of Java programming. And in this unit, we're going to learn about operators, iteration statements, data types, variables, conditional statements, and access modifiers. Understand key concepts, work with operators, understand the principles of iteration and conditional statements, know what data types are, work with classes and objects, and understanding modifiers. As you know, my courses are slightly different. The points may be different, so we want to take a look at that. Also, I don't think we have all 4 of these exams, so always go by the grade book. You should know that by now. Always look at the grade book in my classes for the work you need to do. Here's vocabulary review. See if you know these things. Try to think what they are, and then go in and you can click to see what the actual thing is. So see if you remember these from last programming. Okay, section A, so we can start doing the write-up. So we're going to learn about the basics. And in this section, we're going to understand keywords, comprehend comments, explain data types, use classes and objects, use variables. And we're going to write your first basic Java program. Now keywords, remember keywords, they're reserved words in Java which perform unique functions in a program. So that's what a keyword is. And it's just like in previous programming, remember the keywords can do specific things. So they can't be used for other things, like keywords cannot be used for variables. So it's just a list of keywords that you might come across. And in all programming, comments are really valuable. And a comment in a program tells others something about your code. Now the comments are not seen by the person running the program or using the program, but the comments are seen by the people who can look at the coding, how it was done. And there are two types of comments. And this says comments they're non-instructional, meaning they don't make the computer perform a task, but it documents your work. There are single-line comments, and there are multi-line comments. Single-line comments, you just put 2 slashes and then whatever your comment is. Multi-line comments have to have slash, asterisk, then your comment, and then asterisk, slash to close it off. So if you look down below here, here's a multi-line comment you can see up above, and here's a single-line comment. See, the nice thing about the single-line comments, they can go right after the coding you put in, and then the single-line comment will tell a person what that coding is. And this coding right here, starting from the word class on down to this bracket, this coding will print the word commented on your screen. So So there, that talks more about single line. So the Class Connect write-up should give an example of a single line and multi-line. So here's what a multi-line would look like. So go ahead and give a sample of that. And here's what a single line comment would look like. Give a sample of that. Now, data types, and you know from programming there are different data types. There's numerical data type, Boolean, which is yes or no, true, false. Numerical data type, of course, those are numbers. Integral data type, floating point data type, and we'll learn a lot more about these as we go along. But as you look at all the different types of data, remember that in programming you have to tell the computer what data to expect, and then that's the data that needs to be input into that place. Declaring variables just like any program. So if you look at this, start looking at the variables that are used. So all programmings in Java need to start with class. And class, that's almost like the name of the program. So if we look at what variables are used in here, so if the integer x equals 10, so x is the variable here, and then this is going to system out print line, that's going to print the letter x. So we print it onto the screen. And the data types of the variable, int, which is integer, right? So you can see how they're making the variable x, they're making it an integer. That's the data type that's going to be expected. But this is an example of how you print something on the screen. And you have to look right here. Here you have these brackets and then that closing parenthesis. You have to make sure that stuff is correct. But if you type this in and had it run through Java, it would print the value for x on your screen. So of course, as always, you need to declare the value of the variable. Declare the variable first. Identifiers are names of things that are provided by the programmer. You declare an identifier, you need to follow certain rules. You must start with a letter. Can be followed by a combination of numbers and just a couple of special characters. We'll learn more about identifiers later on. Fundamental practice activity. Go ahead through this crossword, see what you know about Java programming. Some basic language elements. Just like other programming, you have classes, objects, and method, because this is an object-oriented programming language. Remember, an object is anything. So, and then a class is a blueprint for similar things. So if you look at this, bicycle is the class, but then specific bikes that have parameters and particular features, those are an object within the class. So the class is greater than the object. The object is a thing within a class. So a class is a collection of similar objects, and we've learned that before, right? So once you define a class, then you can create any number of objects. So that's how the programming works. If you saw on the screen earlier, you start off with the word class because you're creating the class. And every class has methods and variables, meaning once you create the class, then you kind of start doing the programming within the class that you create. Now, writing your first Java program, what you want to do is go through this tutorial, and it'll discuss with you how to write your first Java program. You can see that there's a single line comment. Here's some multi-line comments. So make sure you go through this. You just click start and run through this just to learn how to do your first program. Some elements of basic language. So the first thing you need to know is you have to declare the class in Java. So we've seen that before, where we've declared a class. We've seen that sample program. So if you look up here, the example class is bicycle. So this program is essentially going to be called bicycle. So what is the class name in the example? Well, bicycle is the class name, right? And what is the object name? The object name is object bicycle. So you can see how you create classes and objects. You use similar terms. Declaring a method. And declaring a method is to make something happen within a program. So you can see here, it's declaring this method or causing something to happen. So if you look at what is the name of this method, well, this method is add. So this is an integer add, integer A and integer B are going to be input, and then it's going to return A plus B. So it adds the two values together. Now calling a method, that gets the output which you declared and defined. So to call a method, that's where you're going to actually print the information onto the screen, or whatever it happens to be, or on a printout or something. So class object method process activity. So here's a sample program. So the class is bike, and then it's going to print, you are accessing the method gear. Now this right here, this will do printout for you, because you're going to print your name in a little bit, do a program to do that. So if you look at this, the class, the object, and the method, so all these answers, this tells you what all of these items are. The class model is the entry point of the program. Can you guess why? Well, main is declared in the class. So there's main is what's declared within the class. So type this program in Notepad, save it, compile, and run it. Well, that's after you have Java set up already. And within the course they have in that sample program, it tells you how to do all of that, how to actually get that program to run. Hit interface. So interface is where you can, how a person interacts with the computer, with the program, how the program operates. So as you look down through this, you can identify the interface and class name. Bicycle is the interface, model is the class. So interface, bicycle, and the class is model. So as you can see, when you use the key terms interface, whatever comes after it is what that interface is named. The keyword class, whatever comes after it is what that class is named. And then the method declared here, you can see the methods that they've used. So change, speed, and apply. And those are all methods that are part of this program. Static members, static is used for methods and variables. And using static, it says here, reduces the memory usage. I don't think there's anything we need to worry about on doing that, but as you go along, just understand that the reason some of these terms are used is because they're backbones to programs. They're important pieces of the program. Now the class name for this, the entry point of this program, model is the entry point. So they're talking about this bottom program. So in the image below, click on the following: the class, the method, then you can learn a little bit about some of these items. So go through these activities, the print statement down here. So go through these activities just to see what you know. There's the model, the object, and there's the method. So always go through these things. Okay, so in this section we looked at reserved words, two types of comments, variables we looked at, data types, class and object we learned about, object is a member of the class, methods, static methods, and JAVAC, which compiles. And you'll do that in that first demonstration of writing your first program. So we went through, we answered all of these early on in this presentation. So now we jump to section B. What are operators? What word do you use to print to your screen? So section B. So section B, so operators are special characters that help perform operations on two or more variables. So you can see the different types of operators. the arithmetic operators, the relational, meaning comparing things. Then there's logical, bitwise, compound, and conditional operators. So all types of operators. And operators help the computer make decisions. After you completed this, you call assignment operator, arithmetical operator, relational operator, compound operator, principles of conditional, and then operator precedence. Precedence meaning which operators happen first, second, third, etc. So assignment operator. Assignment operator assigns a value to a variable. So that's going to be just like this. So this command assigns the value 5 to that variable. Arithmetic operators, and we've learned this before, is addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and modulo division. What that means is division by 0, or actually what it means is division with no remainder. So it automatically, when it divides, then that's the way that you can tell if things are odd or even with this kind of a division. And you can see how these different commands are done. So here, for integers a and b, we give values to a and b, and then this would print out a plus b, a minus b, a times b, a divided by b. And then they have comments at the end. So you can practice these and see how they work. Relational, meaning compare two values to each other, greater than, less than, greater or equal to, not equal to. So you see how the equal to has two equal signs, so you can't just use a single equal sign. Logical operators, so like and, or, not. And we won't do a lot with logical operators in this course, but it is good to know that there are different types of operators, a variety of them, so you can see all the different types of operators. So there's a drag and drop activity for operators, go through that. Now here they have you do some practice. Write a program to add 3 numbers. And go ahead and get a piece of paper, or you can go ahead and input the code here and see what you know. And then it gives you the answer right here, so you can immediately see the answer. So what I would do if I were you, so you looked at this answer, then go ahead and, using what you see right here, go ahead and put in this box down here to solve this problem. So do some real practice on these. And that's one thing they do in this course. They give you options like that. Okay, bitwise. Anything and everything in the memory is stored as bit, right? Ones and zeros. You know that about computers. Programmers use bitwise operators to manipulate these bits. And again, we're not going to learn about too much of this. It's a higher level of Java, but they just want you to know about those types of operators. Other Java operators is for incremental value. So remember, this would be like if you want to count things by 5, 10, 15, 20, like right here, is variable x equals 5. And when you say x plus equals 5, that means it's going to increase each time. So it's going to go 5, 10, 15, 20. So this is a little bit different than some types of programming. So if we look at this down here, a equals 0, b equals 5, a step up 2, b step up times 2. So what's the value going to be? Let's take a look at the answer, and you can see that if this followed through, then a would equal 2 when we printed, and b would equal 10, because a steps up by 2, and b, which started at 5, it steps up by times 2. So 5 times 2 is 10, and a, then 0 plus 2 equals 2. So you can see how those types of relational items work together. Conditional operators, those are like your if-then statements. You use Boolean with false and things like that. This is how you can tell if one value is greater than another. So you can see how this works down here. So it's like the true false, and it will print which one is greater than the other, etc. The practice activities go through the drag and drops. Operator precedence, meaning which ones happen first. So the orders of operation in math, I mean, you know that, right? Parentheses, then exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. Well, programming works in different ways. So these get the priority, these types of brackets and keystrokes. Then these are second priority, third priority, fourth priority, etc. So just some things to keep in mind. Operators practice activities, see what you can do in that. And then you get into the Java operators quiz. And there's the Java operators quiz, there's basic language elements quiz up here, and all the quiz previews I have listed right here, as always. There's all the quiz previews for you. I'm really doing the basic language quiz and the Java access modifiers quiz. The Java operators quiz, I think I got rid of that. I need to take a look at that. Okay, back to the write-up. So to print screen, there were a couple of samples there that talked about printing in those programs. So see if you can find out what that code was to print something to your screen. Okay, number 7, what kind of statement do you use to make certain conditions repeat an operation or expression until a condition is satisfied? What do switch statements do? List 3 types of iteration statements in Java. So section C. So here we are in section C. In section C, we're going to look at control statements. And remember, control statements are statements that break the flow of a program, make a program do particular things. So they can check for certain situations, repeat an operation or expression until a condition is satisfied. That's what control statements do. So we're going to understand iterative statements and use selection statements. So a selection statement, you can see how it has the commands, and it comes down here and it has right here this question mark is true false. So if it's one, it'll go this way. If it's the other, then it'll go this way. So that's what the control statements do. They make a program flow. If then, or actually this is just the if statement. So if something is true, then it's going to print it out. So if A is greater than B, then print ln, that's print line, print on your screen, is going to print the number 10. And this is actually a program where you could put in the age of one person, the age of two person, and then the second person, and then print out whoever is oldest. So this will return the result as the number 10. If-else condition. So go through this. It talks about how if-else is different from if statement. They're slightly different. So there's if-else, if-then that you'll learn about. Now there's the switch statement. And the switch statement, almost like train tracks. Switch statements control the flow of a program. They can access a particular case when needed, so they can go to different pieces within the program. There are different places within the program. So you can see down here that this has switch set up on the variable 1_month. So 1_month equals 8, and then switch to 1_month. So then it would switch down to case 8, because case 8, as we saw up here, 1_month equals 8. And then we say, hey, program switch to where 1_month is located. And that's right down here under case 8, because case 8 is what 1_month equals. The practice activity, so go through that. Another practice activity on programming. Now write a program to find who is older, you or your father or your brother, using if-else. Instead of looking at the answer here, go back a couple of pages and look at that if statement and see if you can do that coding in here. The largest of 3 numbers, that's going to be where you compare the first number to the second number, then you compare the first number to the third number. and then second number, the third number, and find out, see how you can do that. So I'm not going to reveal the answers on that one. Iteration. Iteration statements repeat a function until something is satisfied. So it'll keep going through it. There's three different, there's the for, while, and do. For statement, the while statement, and the do while. And those are all done. So as you, for iteration. So we have the condition here, like does A equal B? If it's true, then it's going to go here. If it's false, then it's going to go here. So that's just one example. More Java control statements. So there's the for statement. So it's talking about how the for statement is used. And the for statement is used if you want to do something a number of times. So the for statement, you can create loops to make things happen a number of times. So you can see the answer down here, the condition. So if I is less than 10, then it's going to keep doing something while I is less than 10. So it's going to repeat the statement until I is not less than 10. So here's a program that will print the numbers 0 through 9, and then it will stop. So analyze this to see what it does. So I equals 0, and then increase I by 1 until I is less than 10. Then it prints out, so it prints 0. Then it goes through it again, then it prints 1, then it prints 2, all the way up to 9. The while statement. So the while statement will look at the condition first and then execute. The other statement executed, then looked at the condition. So while statement is a little bit different. So compare this coding to the previous coding. So this is going to print the output from 0 to 19 since the condition is I is less than 20. So we'll do it until I equals 19. When it reaches 20, it stops. Then do while, just another iteration command. As we look at this, the program will repeat the increment in the above program, or will be the repeated increment. So X stepping up one at a time will be the completing the increment. So X is 0, then it first does the operation, then it prints the line, then it adds 1, then it checks for the condition, then it keeps going through it. So you can see how these three statements, the if, while, and do while, how they're different from one another. So here's a program to print the numbers from 100, 200, 300. So this is going to be an iteration of 100 and 400 using the for statement. So go back to those statements. See if you can do this before you go and look at the answer. So the section summary. So we looked at the do while, we looked at the if statement, and we talked about switch statements. The Java control statement quiz. I got rid of the Java control statement quiz, so don't worry about that. Okay, section D, so almost finished, so hang in there. Okay, section D, let's go to the write-up first. In the write-up, what are the 3 access modifiers in Java? So section D. So the 3 access modifiers, there's public, private, and protected access modifiers. And just like you have signs that tell you things you can do, access modifiers, they kind of put some limits and instructions on what can be done in a program. So we're going to understand public modifiers, private, and comprehend protected modifiers. So public access modifiers gives complete visibility of a variable or a method across all classes, meaning that all classes can access that variable. Public meaning that anybody can use it, so anything within the program can use it. So that's what a public access modifier is. So here's an example. So any method within this program would be able to use the integer, the variable a. Now private, you have to declare it private, and they're not accessible outside their class, only accessible within their class. So it's part of the object-oriented programming. And you should limit access as much as possible within your programs within Java. So here's how we declare a private integer, private variable. And finally, protected, similar to private, except the method or variable in the class can be inherited. And we've learned about inheritance before, meaning that it takes on the values of something else. And we'll explore all these later on, but like early in the beginning here, it's really important just to know what different things mean. You don't really have to be able to use them, but know that they are available and you might just to know what they do. The Java Access Modifier quiz is right here. Quiz preview up there. So make sure you do that. And the only quizzes we do, I think I have to take one of these out of here. The only quizzes you're going to do are the ones in which I gave you the quiz preview. So the Basic Language Elements quiz and the Java Access Modifiers quiz. So the Java Operators quiz, I need to get rid of that. In fact, that may not even be showing up on your screen. Okay, so we've answered all of these. Getting back to week 2, so you want to go through that PowerPoint that I have listed right up here to download Java Development Kit. You're going to do this write up, and then you have I think only 2 quizzes. I'll fix that, but you'll do whatever quizzes are listed over here in the course once I get that fixed to make sure on that. So that's all the work I have for you. Thanks, everybody.